Otto Johann Maximilian Strasser was born on September 10, 1897, in Bavaria, in the German Empire. He was the son of a Catholic judicial officer who lived in the upper Bavarian market town of Giesenfeld. He also took an active part in World War I. On August 2, 1914, he joined the Bavarian army as a volunteer, rising through the ranks to lieutenant and being wounded twice. He returned to Germany in 1919, where he served in the Freikorps, that in May 1919, crushed the Bavarian Soviet Republic, which was organized on the principles of workers' councils. Around this time, he joined the then Marxist Social Democratic Party. In 1920, he was part of the opposition to the Kapp Putsch. He grew increasingly alienated from his party's reformist stance, particularly when it put down a workers' uprising in the Ruhr region. Strasser left the party later that year. In 1925, he joined the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or NSDAP. His brother Gregor had been a member for a few years, and worked for the party newspaper as a journalist, later taking it over with his brother. He focused mainly on the socialist elements of the party's program, and led the party's faction in northern Germany together with Gregor and Joseph Goebbels. His faction advocated support for ideologically Nazi unions, profit-sharing and even closer ties with the Soviet Union. Despite disagreements with Hitler, the Strasser brothers didn't represent a radical wing opposed to the party mainstream. Gottfried Feder was more radical and held greater favor at the time. Their Strassers were extremely influential within the party, but the Strasserist program was defeated at the Bamberg Conference of 1926. Otto Strasser, along with Gregor, continued as a leading left Nazi within the party until he was expelled from the NSDAP in 1930. Following his expulsion, Strasser set up his own party, called the Black Front, which was composed of other former NSDAP members, to split the Nazi party. But the party proved unable to counter Hitler's rise to power in January 1933, and Strasser spent the years of the Nazi era in exile. The Nazi left was annihilated during the Night of the Long Knives in the summer of 1934, where his brother Gregor Strasser was killed. This left Hitler as the undisputed party leader, and was able to further strengthen his power. In addition to the Black Front, Strasser headed the Free German movement outside Germany. This group aimed to enlist the help of Germans living around the world in bringing about the downfall of Hitler and his vision of Nazism. Strasser first fled to Austria, then to Czechoslovakia, Switzerland, and France. In 1940, he went to Bermuda via Portugal, leaving his wife and 2 children, Switzerland. In 1941, he emigrated to Canada, and Goebbels denounced Strasser as the Nazis' public enemy number 1, and a price of $500,000 was placed on his head. He briefly lived in Montreal, and then lived in Clarence, in Nova Scotia, on a farm owned by a German-Czech man named Adolf Schmidt. As an influential and uncondemned former Nazi Party member still faithful to many aspects of Nazism, he was initially banned from going to West Germany after the war, first by the Allied powers and then by the West German government. During his exile, he wrote articles on Nazi Germany and its leadership for several British, American, and Canadian newspapers. In 1950, East Germany invited Strasser to become a member of the National Front, but he declined, still hoping he'd be permitted to return to Bavaria. Strasser was eventually granted West German citizenship, and returned to Germany on March 16, 1955, and settled in Munich with his family. He attempted to create a new nationalist and socialist-oriented party in 1956, the German Social Union, but his organization was unable to attract any support. Strasser continued to advocate for his vision of Nazism until his death on August 27, 1974, at the age of 76.